Hi there, my name is Natalie Griffith and I'm the Brand and Marketing Director for Unit 2 Games. I want to start by asking you a question today. What do you want to be when you grow up? I'm guessing you've not been asked that in quite a while, and I'm really curious as to why we just stop asking that question of people. It's like as soon as they leave school we just don't care about their ambition anymore. So I'm on a little bit of a mission to bring that question back into the conversations we have about our careers. But I want to reframe it a little bit, and we'll get to that in a second. What I want to do today is to try and help you understand what we're going to call your personal brand. The things that you're excited about, the things that you're passionate about, the things that give you energy, bring you joy, get you out of bed in the morning. And then once you've identified those things, you're much better placed to work out where you fit in the games industry and where the best place for you will be. For me, I've been in games just over 29 years. I celebrated that terrifyingly a couple of weeks ago. And I've done a whole host of things in that time. I started life as a graphic designer. I was working on games packaging at companies like Codemasters and other places. I then spent 5 years as a games journalist. I was the editor of the official Nintendo magazine for Australia. I then joined at the time one of the UK's largest and longest running independent game studios, Blitz Games. And there I established their PR team. I worked with our publishers to promote our games. I worked with the biz dev team to help bring in new work. I helped to run our education outreach programme. I helped to market our in-house technology. It was a whole host of things, and it was a really exciting time to be in the games industry. After that, I made quite a big leap and went freelance. I helped a friend's PR agency for a few months, and then I did something I never thought I was going to do in a million years, which was start my own business. Identity Spark ran for 7.5, nearly 8 years, and in that time, I worked with a huge number of really, really fascinating and exciting and energising companies, whether that was 1 or 2 person scrappy indie startups right up to studios of 100, 150 people or more. Throughout that whole time, the whole journey was about helping those people to understand what was special about what they were doing and then communicate that to the world. And so I think those skills and those techniques that I use to support those companies are really, really useful techniques that we can easily apply to ourselves to work out where we want to be in the world and what our personal brand is. If you'd asked me what I wanted to be when I was 9, I would definitely categorically have said astronaut, without a shadow of a doubt. The idea of living and working in space, but most importantly going to school in space, was just like such an appealing idea. If you'd asked me a few years later when I was about 14, I would probably have said I wanted to be an Olympic hockey player. I played for my school, I played for a local town team, for the county, I played at a national tournament for the Air Cadets. I was massively into it and really excited about how I could improve over the years. I remember getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the GB men's team win the gold medal at the Seoul Olympics in 1988. Fast forward another few years, when I was about 17ish, I would probably have told you I wanted to be an architect. I spent a couple of years really interested in that potential career path. I even had work experience at a local architecture studio, and I really started investigating how I could make that a career. I think, if I'm honest, the thing that knocked that idea on the head was discovering that the degree course was 7 years long, but, it was still something that piqued my interest for a period of time. So all 3 of those things seem ridiculously disparate from each other and ridiculously different from anything I've ended up doing. But actually, the more I've thought about it over the years, and the more I've come to realise that the threads that run through those things are the things that make up what I would call my personal brand. And I'll explain more about that in a bit. So what actually is a brand? Well, Martin Neumeier, who is a famous American branding expert, describes it as a person's gut feeling about a product, service or organisation. Or in this case, a person's gut feeling about another person. What's the impression that you leave people with? What do people think you care about? Another way of looking at it is taking a quote from Jeff Bezos. And regardless of what you think about him or about Amazon, I think this is a really great way to think about what a brand actually means. And he says it's what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think if you think about a company, it doesn't matter what they've got on their website or what they put in their adverts. It's the way they act, the things they do, the way they conduct themselves, the kind of products they put out there and the people they work with. They're the things that give you a sense of what they stand for and what that brand stands for. It doesn't matter how they describe it. And I think when it comes to individuals, that's critical as well. It doesn't matter what you put on your CV, what you say in your interview when you go for a job. The important thing is the impression you leave people and whether you're honest and open about that. Now, the one caveat I want to put in at this point is that I think it's critical that you understand that I am not saying that we need to spend our whole lives worrying about being paranoid about what people are saying about us behind our backs, because that way madness lies. What I'm saying is about making sure that you're not putting up a false front of the kind of person that you are in order to get a job. Be proud of the things that you're proud of. Be passionate about the things you're passionate about. It's not sustainable to put on like a work face and keep that going day in, day out. If you spend loads of time stressing over what you think people want to see in a CV, or what you think people want to hear you say in an interview, if those things don't chime with who you are as a person, then even if you get the job, you've got to spend 7 or 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, sitting at a desk pretending to be the person that you were in that interview and not the person that you are. So it's really important to make sure that you're showing the real you when you start trying to find a place, trying to find a career and trying to find a place to work. But why does all this matter? Well, at the end of the day, people do business with people. It's a cliche, but it's true. No one hires a CV or a LinkedIn profile. They hire a person that they connected with, that they were engaged by, that they felt shared their passions and their drive and were excited about the work that you needed them to do. That's how those decisions are made. So again, if you're putting up a front and you're telling them what they want to hear, that may get you the job, but is it the job you want if it doesn't match what you care about? But then how do you then go about actually working out what it is that you care about and what kind of work is going to be the best for you to do? Well, when I do that with a business, I use something called the Golden Circle, which is created by a marketing expert called Simon Sinek. And he points out that most businesses, when they're thinking about what they're doing, they come at it with this circle, and they start with what are they doing, how are they going to do it, and then maybe at the end of that they'll think about why they're doing it. So the what will, in the case of a games industry, case of a games company, it will be, what game are we making? The how will be, what engine are we going to use? Who do we need to hire? What platform holders do we need to build relationships with? And then the why might be considered at the end, and it will be the values that are driving what they're creating, the kind of experience they want people to have, the way they want people to feel after playing their game, the impact that they want that game to have on people. Not all companies think about that why, and those that do think about it at the end. Simon Sinek's premise is that actually you should always start with why. Start right at the beginning with the why am I doing this? What impact do I want to have? What am I passionate about? Why am I bringing this idea into the world? Now, I think that works just as powerfully for an individual as it does for a business. If you start right from the beginning of why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I pursuing a career in games? What is it that I want to get out of that? What impact do I want to have on people? What things am I passionate about? What do I care about? All of those things will help you establish those core values, and then from that point you can work out how you're going to go about getting a job in the games industry, the practical things, the cerebral things that you have to logistically do to make that happen, whether it's writing your CV, contacting an agency, sending out letters, that kind of thing. And then the what, only at that point you think specifically about the what, the actual job you want to do. Too many people put a particular job role or a particular function on a pedestal and kind of go, that's what I'm going to do. And then they work about the how and they never really stop to think why. So I think we should all be listening more to Simon Sinek and thinking about our careers in terms of the why and the values and the passions that drive all those decisions that we make. So another way of explaining this that I often use that helps it resonate better with people is, instead of why, how, what, I think about it in terms of heart, head, hands. So what is it really in your heart? As I said at the beginning, what are the things that you're passionate about? What are you energized about? What gets you out of bed in the morning? So the kind of things that you are going to enjoy doing day after day after day, and the kind of impact that you want to be having on people in the world around you. Once you've got that, you can then start thinking about the practical logistics of making that happen, and then you can go about and grab that job with both hands. So if I apply that back now to 9-year-old me, I can actually see the core passions and things that were driving through all of those ambitions right through my whole career to the things that I'm doing now. And there is actually a clear link that I can pull out between all of those things that I wanted to be as a kid. So the 9-year-old me that wanted to be an astronaut, it was because it was a love of science, a love of technology. It was that vision for the future, the potential that technology could change the way we lived our lives. It was a passion for classic 40s and 50s sci-fi novels. It was my love of all things geeky, which carries through with me still today. That's why I've got a wall of Lego behind me. All of those things are still there in the 49-year-old me. When it comes to hockey, I was a goalkeeper when I played field hockey, and I think it was that position that really speaks to where I am now and the things that I enjoy doing. It was that mix of being on my own but as part of a team, having sole responsibilities that added real tangible value that only I could bring, but still working with a group towards a greater goal. And then when it came to architecture, what it really was, it wasn't engineering, it wasn't construction. It was about the design and the psychology of that design. It was about how people, or even the sociology, it was about how people interact with their environment, with the buildings, with the open spaces, how people engage with those things in the real world in order to make their lives better. And all of those things come directly through to all of the stuff I'm passionate about now, all of the work I've done with other clients when I ran my own business, and the work I'm doing now at Unit 2 Games. For me, it's about helping the wider group succeed and thrive while still being energised by learning new things, looking to the future, engaging with all that latest technology. So marketing in the games industry is an absolutely perfect encapsulation of all of those things that I was passionate about at 9 and at 14 and at 17. I think I only really realised that for the first time a couple of years ago when I first started putting together an earlier version of this talk. And I think it's really helped me make much more conscious choices about my career, about my business when I was still running that, and about my choices with my career going forwards. Making the decision to give up on my business and join a company that I knew would allow me to pursue those goals was just as passionate about the things I was passionate about, gave me the energy and the excitement to move on. It wasn't about giving up my business, it was about moving on to something new and exciting that was still going to keep me energised and keep me going day to day. So what I would say to you is to make sure that you go through that exercise yourself. Look inside yourself. Take a look at what it is that you're passionate about, even if that means taking it right back to the things you cared about as a kid. What excited you then? What excites you now? What kind of things do you want to be doing? What impact do you want to have on the world? So this is when we come back to the original question: what do you want to be when you grow up? But this is also where we reframe it. And I think what needs to be is what kind of person do you want to be when you grow up? And we also need to recognise that up here isn't an end point. Up just means what's next. Otherwise we'd be asking people, what do you want to be when you get to the end? What do you want to be when you get to the top? It's not about that. It's about a constant evolution. It's not an end point. It's a constant journey. So think about the things you're passionate about. Think about if one of your friends or colleagues was asked about you, what would they say? What would they say if they were asked what you cared about, what you were passionate about, what kind of things excited you? That's the kind of thing you need to wear on your sleeve. It's the kind of thing you need to identify yourself. Then you will get yourself into the right place to have a really, really meaningful and interesting and challenging and exciting career. And most of all, you'll be being yourself. So I wish you lots of luck. Thank you.